If we look throughout the world, in every industry, in every culture, there's one consistent trend among successful individuals, and that trend is the ability to persevere. Having the persistence to keep pushing along when the going gets tough, when your first few attempts are unsuccessful, when life simply feels impossible, that is a difference between people who succeed and people who don't. Today, I welcome the original music of my friend Nashville, Tennessee singer-songwriter Scott Southworth and mindset coach Lindsay Meese to discuss persistence and success. I'm your host, Amanda Ashley, and this is Afternoon Cocktail, episode 40, Persistence. Welcome. And welcoming to our afternoon cocktail stage, Mr. Scott Southworth. Scott, how are you? Scott, you're muted. And I'm lost in space.
There we go.
How are you? I could hear you. That's okay. What are you gonna? I'm awesome. Thanks so much for being on our show today. So, what are you gonna perform for us?
Well, I'm going to do, and first off, it's an honor to be on your show. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
I'm going to do the title track of the brand new CD. It's called These Old Bones, and I think I'm going to. I was really wondering what to do, but then I realized you have Lindsay, who's a yoga instructor, so I thought this song would be appropriate. These old bones sure like complaining when they drag me out of bed. I don't mind the ache and pain. It's good to know that I ain't dead. These old bones don't get nowhere fast. They got me this far. These old bones like picking on an old flat top guitar. I don't know much, but one thing I know for sure. These old bones ain't never been this old before. It's harder to recuperate. They don't bounce back like they did. But when the whiskey lubricates, well, hell, they feel just like a kid's. These old bones don't dance, but truth to tell, they never really could. These old bones got enough to know they still got it good. I don't know much, but one thing I know for sure. These old bones ain't never been this old before. You might call me a fossil, a relic past my prime, but my baby likes the way these old bones take their time. They're what God gave me to work with, so until He calls me home, I got these old bones. There we go now. Well, I ain't planning on these old bones getting planted no time soon. They still got a lot of miles to go and plenty left to do. As long as guitars pick it hot and honky tonks serve beer on ice, well, you can keep that chair to rock. These old bones hit their prime. I don't know much, but one thing I know for sure. These old bones ain't ever felt this good before. You might call me a fossil, a relic past my prime, but my baby likes the way these old bones take their time. They're what God gave me to work with, so until He calls me home, I got these old bones. I said, I got these old bones. And Amanda, when I wake up every morning and I stretch and I pop and I crack, then I do my downward dog and my hypocritical llama, I look up and I say, thank God for these old bones. I got these old bones. Yeah.
I love it, Scott. You're so good. Oh, thank you. Scott, your bones aren't that old. Come on now. You're doing just fine, all right?
Oh, they're that
So,
old. Trust me.
well, Scott, I have the pleasure of knowing you for, probably, well, at least 4 years now, 4 or 5 years almost. Can you tell us, our audience, just a little bit about you and your background and who you are?
Sure. I was born at a very young age, and I'll never forget it. And then I'm here, and I've been playing traditional country music in Nashville for, I've been writing it all my life. I moved to Nashville to be a songwriter, and when I turned 50 in 2016, I decided to release an album of songs that I'd written, that I'd recorded over the course of 10 years, that were way too country for the current Nashville scene. And lo and behold, all of a sudden, I turned out there's a huge audience in Europe, and that's supported by independent stations here in the United States, and then of course in Europe, that love traditional country music. So I became a top 30 recording artist in Europe at the age of 50, and decided I'm having more fun doing that than trying to chase the current trends. So I've released 3 albums and have toured overseas many times, headline festivals all over in Spain and France and Ireland and Germany and Norway, and just been having the time of my life, uh, playing the stuff that I actually like to write. So there you have it.
Good for you, and it's so funny that you say too country for Nashville. Like that seems like an oxymoron to me, like, and it's funny when I think about my first my first time in Nashville as an adult, and as a singer-songwriter, I met one of my friends, Johan. I'm actually going to have his band on the show in 2 weeks, I believe. Have you heard of the band called Flying Buffaloes?
Yes,
They're
yes.
yeah. They're so Johan, he's from Berlin, and I just like, I mean, he's playing like Conway Twitty type country, and I was like, how does somebody out of Berlin come playing this type of music? It's amazing to me. But yeah, why do you think that the country? Why do you think that's the case in Nashville right now? I mean, because it's just all
Yeah,
pop
it's
country.
very well. Yeah, and there's, I mean, it is what it is, but the radio is always chasing the youth market, and so they have gone to a real poppy sound, and occasionally you get something a little more country, sneak in there, but it is what it is, and I'm grateful for it, because if Luke Bryan and Florida Georgia Line wanted to play traditional country music, then Europe wouldn't want to see my 50-year-old Tookus out there doing it. If they were young, good-looking guys up there doing it, that's who people would rather see. But for some reason in Europe, they really want to hear that fiddle steel, the pedal steel and the fiddle, and that authentic country sound. And it happens to be what I absolutely love to play and write. So I'm thrilled. Yeah, I don't even worry about what Nashville's doing. I stay here and record because we have just the most amazing musicians here. But as far as trying to get things happening here, I'm not even concerned with that.
Now, when you're traveling abroad like that, I mean, I saw a video of you playing. I believe it was in Paris, or you were in France. You had a whole like interview with a French woman. I
Yeah,
can't remember.
yeah.
Yeah, and you were performing on a stage with a full band. Now, are you flying like band members out that way, or do they travel with you, or are you just kind of hiring musicians out that way to play along with you?
Those are all French and German musicians. Uh,
Wow,
that,
that's cool.
I send the music, I send my set list, and I send them charts several months in advance. And we get there, and this last time I got up to rehearse. I got up to rehearse, and we played one and a half songs, and I just stopped the rehearsal, and I said, "Guys, you know my music better than I do, don't you?" And they said, "Yeah." I said, "Okay, then let's just get up and do it. And if you hear something wrong, I guarantee you it's me. I'll catch up. Don't worry." But it's amazing musicians, and they love playing country music. And for instance, the steel guitar player, we had this great conversation. He could play like all the different steel guitar players. I'd name someone, and he'd play in their style, and they're students of this type of music, and they love it.
That's so cool. I mean, that had to be such a fun experience too. I mean, well, it's always fun to play with other musicians, no matter what. But I mean, could you speak French? I mean, how were you communicating with these artists?
Um, I speak a little bit of French. I speak a little bit of German. I speak a little bit of Spanish. I speak zero Norwegian, but I try. And I have a couple of things. I have cheat sheets that I put on the top of my guitar, uh, phonetically written down, so I can say things over the mic that are phonetically correct. Um, but as far as communicating with them, most of them speak English. They appreciate that I'm trying to speak their language, but they speak numbers, right? They're speaking the charts, and they know the charts, they know the music, and I mean I've made some great friends. Is probably the greatest thing about all of this. Great musician friends in France and in out of Sweden and Norway and Germany that will sometimes FaceTime me with the whole band will be together playing a show, and they'll FaceTime me and say hello, and it's amazing. It's amazing. I feel so grateful and fortunate to have this sudden little career shift. It's been amazing.
Well, if there's one language you all speak together fluently, it's music and love, and that love for music. So that I mean, I think that's powerful. No matter what the language barrier is, you at least can connect on that level. That's great. So I mean, you just said you just recently turned 50, and not to broadcast your age out there,
I
but you
do
said it
all the time.
first.
I don't mind.
Yeah.
I don't mind at all.
But I mean, you've gone through a few cycles in life, like with music and growth, personal growth, and your current album, which was fantastic, by the way. I listened to it. I listened to it thoroughly through on Friday, and I really enjoyed it. Actually, no, it was Thursday when we had our sound check. And fantastic. I mean and I loved Critters, your video. I mean, you're putting out such excellent work. And I mean, so your theme to these old bones for your album is really just kind of embracing life. I mean, you've accomplished so much, and I mean, you talk about like if you croak tomorrow, you've accomplished everything you've wanted in life, kind of thing. I mean, how has your perception changed?
10 years old, someone in my high school interviewed me. We were interviewing a bunch of seniors, and I happened to be one of the ones that was interviewed. And they asked what my ultimate goal in life was. And at 17, I said I'd love to have my guitar on my back and travel through Europe and play my music. Now, at the time, I didn't have any of my music. I was 17. I knew two chords on the guitar, and now I know three. But I that was my that was what I thought would be the ultimate dream. And at 50, all those things finally came into play, and so it's just utter gratitude, Amanda. I'm just always so excited. I do these Facebook shows on Fridays, and there's people from all over Australia and Asia and Europe, and that are checking in, and it's amazing to me that that people want to hear it, and that everybody's interacting together, and it's a yeah. But I guess the thing is I'm very, very satisfied, and I'm very happy with everything that's going on right now. And I think one of the keys to that, especially in this era of uh, uh, social networking, is, don't. It's so easy to look at everybody's stuff and see all the good stuff and maybe get a little envious or comparative. And I don't compare my stuff with anybody, and yeah, I only put out the good stuff and I put out the happy stuff, but there's a lot of work that goes into making these things happen and making these tours happen, where I'm just traveling around by myself from one train to the next, and it's not sexy at all, but it's a lot of fun as an accumulative. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, no, it does. I mean, you truly enjoy what you do, and I think that speaks magnitudes, when you really love what you do and you project that. I mean, what I love so much about you is just that you are who you are. There's no false projections about Scott Southworth, like you're as real as it gets, and I appreciate that. And I think when you meet other people, and even when you're dealing with people on a business level, that comes across that passion. I think in the end that will ultimately define your success too. I mean, today's theme is persistence. Going into our next question, I mean, you're no stranger to persistence, right? You've been hustling your whole life, and you just even said it. It's not always the sexiest thing to be hopping from train to train or going from place to place, but maybe you've worked your way by yourself to the top. What advice would you lend to another aspiring singer-songwriter, maybe somebody who dreams of the type of success you've encountered with?
Well, I would say, and when you say I've reached the top, I've reached what I wanted to reach,
Mhm.
you know, and I think that's really important. This is very cliche. It's an old saying, but success is getting what you want. Happiness is wanting what you get. And I'm just having so much fun being happy. So, I've talked to a lot of writers and artists who've come and talked to me about this, and my first bit of success is, or my first bit of advice is to have a really clear picture of what you are musically, and then find those ears. Because someone who does more of a pop country, I'm happy to share all of my contacts with people, but if you're doing a pop country, or if you're doing southern rock, or if you're doing folk music, these ears that I've found aren't the right ears. So my first step for people is figure out where your ears are, and then reach out to them. Instead of um, there's a lot of folks in town that spend a lot of time just complaining how radio won't play them, but there's lots of radio stations that will. It's a matter of finding them. So I guess set your expectations accordingly, and find your ears. We're in an amazing time of technology where you can find your ears. You can find ears in Australia and Taiwan and Russia, because they can all find you. But so that's the first thing, and the second thing is just, um, I try to be as giving out there, not only with audiences, but just with other artists, and just enjoying everything I can with all of them. And to me, that's the success in this, is the experiences and being able to travel around, and meet all these people and crash on their couches, and spend time with them. That's the joy for me. I've been able to take my wife with me to France and Ireland. I've been able to take my daughter to Spain and France, and my son to Norway. And so to be able to show them parts of the world and be doing it based on playing music is about the coolest thing in the world for me.
I love that answer. I think that's such a great response. So, does any of your children play music?
Yeah, my son was a singer in a real heavy alt rock band for a while, and his he found his passion in cooking though, and I just he kind of knew it, but I discovered when we were in Norway together and we were getting all these beautiful Norwegian authentic dishes served to us, and he was deconstructing them, and oh, I would have never thought to put this with this, and I saw the excitement and the joy come out of him in that. So and then my daughter is oh, and my son writes beautifully too. He's a wonderful writer. um, and then my daughter did theater for many years and musical theater. When she came with me to Ireland, she performed an original song at a festival. Wonderful writer and singer, and she's just graduated from college and kind of figuring out what her next steps are. But they both have a lot of music in them. It just I don't know if it's something that is burning to be out there doing something with it.
How do they feel about sharing you with the entire world like this?
Oh, they're so un unimpressed. They just laugh at me. They laugh at me, and my wife, just rolls her eyes, and so 'cause, I also have a full time day job too. This isn't everything I do. So they just this is just part of who I am and what I do, and they like I said they tease me and make fun of me more than anything, but they learned how to do that because I've teased them and made fun of them their whole lives. So what goes around comes around.
It certainly does. What is the most important message that you wish to share with through the power of music for your listeners and followers?
Um, I guess just really be true to yourself. I've had some friends and some folks come at me. There's a lot going on in the world right now, and there's a lot of people wanting you to take a side or get on this bandwagon or that bandwagon, and I've had a lot of people criticize me because I'm not taking stands, and for me, I've chosen. I have my beliefs, I have my politics, and I vote and I donate. But when I look at what my music can be to someone, hopefully instead of uh, shoving a point of view down someone's throat, hopefully I'm taking their mind off it for 3.5 minutes because we're in an age where there's a fire hose of information, phone on your computers, on the TV, and it's very rarely is it good information, or very rarely is it good news. So, for me, I just like to hopefully take people's minds off it. Yeah, I'm doing goofy music videos, and my songs hopefully just make you smile, and that's my job to me. Is there's there's no shortage of news and information. I don't need to educate anybody. Hopefully, I can just give them a grin.
Oh, Scott, you're such a delight to talk to and to know. It's really a pleasure being your friend above everything. So thank you for giving us your time and your advice and good words today. Where can our audience be directed to your music?
They can go to scottsouthworth.com for all of the links to everything. If they want to buy the music, on the streaming or downloading, anywhere you buy that, Amazon, Apple Music, iTunes, Spotify, wherever. And then if you want to buy physical, you can go to my website, and there's explanations on how to do that as well. But and I want to just say how much I appreciate you and Beau. I met you guys at Bobby's Idol Hour, and you were wonderful up there. And then you were so kind and gracious, and we played a show together in Memphis, Tennessee, at the Hard Rock. And
It's fun.
I loved your music, and I love you and Beau together, and it's just that you're just a lot of fun to hang out, and I'm glad to know you.
Likewise, my friend. I hope to see you again soon in Nashville when once all this craziness kind of calms down. For sure, we'll get
Or
together
we'll
for
go to
more.
Rochester, and we'll all go take a
Yeah.
yoga class with Lindsay.
That sounds good. I'm curious about this goat yoga. I've never heard of anything like that. But thank you so much, Scott. So we're going to hear from Scott again towards the end of our program. He'll be back with one more original song. Before I bring up Miss Lindsay Meese on, I would like to just throw a shout out to our sponsors. This is our 40th episode, which blows my mind. And it's been such a pleasure to bring all 40 of these episodes to you. We've been very fortunate to have some local support. So if you're in need of any credit card assistance with accepting credit card payments, electronic merchant systems here in Rochester, New York, the charge card guys are who to see. Untamed Events, Miss RebeccaDodge.com for your party planning needs. Thank you to Compeer Rochester for your support, and also to Salvatore's Pizzeria for your support as well. Make sure you get your pizza orders in this week. And the Sawmill at Blades, located on University Avenue. They got a full bar menu, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and you could check them out at bladesrock.com. Miss Lindsay Meese, welcome.
Hi, how are you?
I'm awesome. Thank you so much for being on our show. And so tell our audience a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so, well, I started as a yoga instructor about 5 years ago. I've been teaching all throughout Rochester. I love to do fun events, beer yoga. I know we said goat yoga, but I don't really teach goat yoga. I started with beer yoga, actually.
That's cool.
Which is really fun. My boyfriend's actually a brewer, so kind of went together, I guess. It was a really fun way just to get people together. I love to teach in the studios as well. So mindset was a huge part for me around yoga. A lot of people think of it more as just a physical practice, but for me, it was really powerful for my mindset, which is why I started teaching. And then that shifted into coaching. So now I also do mindset coaching when I work primarily with women. I was noticing a lot in my classes, just the mindset shift other people were having. And I wanted to deepen that opportunity for women and to actually coach them on mindset. You can get more of a transformation in that way. So I started doing mindset coaching about a little over a year ago. And yeah, it's been really awesome.
So at mindset coaching, I mean, how did you find your own healthy mind, in order to be able to project in this, to your clients? I mean, there had to be a point in your life where I would imagine that you just had a turnaround, a complete turnaround, like, you know what, I need to switch my mindset, and move forward in a different way. Is that the case?
Yeah, so it kind of came in two phases. So when I started yoga, had just ended a really bad breakup, and I just could not get out of my own head, and I needed to figure out something. And I had started going to yoga, and I started realizing how I went to actually, if you live in Rochester, True Yoga was where I had the best teachers. And they just really touched a lot more on mindset than the physical practice. And it helped me so much shift through those mindset blocks I had. I used to be very obsessive over things. And with that relationship, it was the same thing. Helped me work through that and realize that I was in control of how I showed up in my thoughts. And that really played a huge role. And then once I started teaching yoga and was more of a business owner, mindset stuff comes up around that too. So I worked a lot on my mindset, just being a business owner. I know Scott kind of mentioned like comparing to others and things like that. That all comes up with any industry that you're trying to show up in. And in my business, I had to break through a lot of fears and break down a lot of walls just to get out there and keep putting myself out there. And I'm sure even in the music industry that comes up too, just having that confidence to put yourself out there more.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. And it really all comes down, a huge part of it comes down to mindset. So that's kind of where I had that shift. I work with a lot of business women and just women in general too.
So the women that you're coaching are they mostly business, like women of business, or are they just women that are maybe going through a tough time, or maybe a combination of both?
Yeah. So it's a kind of a mix. A lot of moms, a lot of women who are just starting businesses that struggle with getting out of their own way and finding that confidence to really go all in and go for it. That's a common theme. Comparing and worrying about what other people think is a huge thing that I coach a lot of my women on. And it comes from moms, from business owners, from, I mean, even my boyfriend struggled. Like everyone kind of struggles with these things. I primarily work with business women and a lot of moms.
You know, it's funny that you bring up moms because today, today's theme is persistence, right?
Yeah.
So every time I have a 4-year-old son, and nobody's more persistent than him when he wants a piece of candy or something, whatever it is, you know, at the moment, you know, and what's the first things that mothers say? No, no, everything's no, right? And the kids keep pushing and pushing, right? And I'm like, man, this kid is so persistent, right? Dealing with mothers, you know, and just going back to the human factor, you know, I find it so interesting, and maybe you could add to this, you know, that so often we more willingly take no as an answer to ourselves, right? Or we feel like you know, we get shut down by something like, oh no, you can't possibly play 5 gigs a week, or you can't, you know, possibly do this, or you know, and sometimes like your confidence or your mind will play on that, and you'll accept that and be like, oh, okay, I guess I can't, and that's what kind of brings your confidence down, right? Why do you think that's? I mean, dealing with mothers and you know, and being an entrepreneur, I mean, how do you train the people that you're coaching to accept themselves for who they are, and to keep moving forward and to change that mindset?
Yeah. So it's really funny how a lot of us think the same way about a lot of things. And it always comes down, typically, it comes down to a thought that's blocking you, or there's a fear. Usually there's some fear, whether it's a fear of what other people will think of you, whether it's a fear of not being good enough. That's a common one. A fear of not getting results or not being successful. So that fear of failing. There's usually an underlying fear or thought that is holding them back from something, or allowing themselves to just agree with maybe what someone else said, or not have that confidence in themselves. So when I work with my clients, I really dive in with them and sometimes you have to ask a lot of questions because they're not even aware of what it is. It could be there and they just don't know how much it's actually holding them back. So we dive in, I ask a lot of questions and get really deep into what their actual thoughts are. You know, what is coming up for you when you are trying to show up in your business, or anything like that, when you are trying to put yourself out there more, just feel more confident. What comes up for you is usually what I ask them. And we just dive into those thoughts and we work on being aware of them, which is really important to start, is to just be aware of them. And then we work on shifting them and practicing new beliefs. So it really is a practice. It's not overnight thing. It doesn't happen like that. It's just practicing and reminding yourself of, okay, I'm in control of my thoughts and I can decide which way I'm going to go with this. And I think we forget, or some of us don't know how powerful our thoughts actually are too.
Sure.
And yeah, we create all of those things in our head. Nobody in our life, no circumstance does that. We do that. So that's kind of the process I go through with them, is just being very aware of your thoughts and that you are in control. Your thoughts are not facts, and you can shift them in any direction that you want to go. And it does take practice for sure.
Sure. I think it's, that's the main thing. Like, I think if anything we often forget is just how much control we're in of our own destiny, our own lives, and how much control we have over our response to things, and once you do become aware of that, it really shifts you know, the whole spectrum for it did for me, and it definitely takes practice. It's like learning a guitar lick. You're not going to learn it in 5 seconds. It's going to take a little. You got to take it slow, and then eventually you'll get it. Yeah, absolutely. Are you finding more of a need for your coaching during this time with the pandemic? I mean, people's lives have completely shifted or been altered, and they're forced to be innovative and they're trying new things. Are you finding that there's more of a call for your services?
Yeah, I think so. There was kind of a wave of more just mindset, not related to business, kind of in the beginning of COVID, just trying to manage everything that was going on right now. Now I'm getting a lot more of business women looking to, maybe they don't know when they're going to go back to work, or they just need help building the business that they have because they have more time now. There's very much different situations, but a lot of business women they're like, oh, I have kind of a chance right now to work on this. So I need some guidance. I'm getting in my own way and I need just a little help with this. So with business side, I focus a lot on mindset, but that plays a huge role in how their business grows and how they show up. So yeah, I've been seeing that need, and people are just realizing they have more time now. So I better take advantage of this, and maybe I won't have to go back to my 9 to 5. Especially a lot of moms, they just want to be home and have that flexibility with their schedule and their money and all of that. So yeah, there's definitely been a huge pickup with that.
So what I see you're doing some online seminars. I mean, do you have anything upcoming that we could tell our audience about?
Well, I was really sad. I had a really awesome retreat for the fall that was supposed to be in person, which we're not doing that. I don't have anything online coming up soon. I do offer Zoom yoga classes every once in a while during the week and on the weekend, but no events yet. I was hoping to do that retreat. I love to do in-person events where I combine yoga and mindset. So it's usually like women's empowerment type workshops or retreats. Sometimes I offer workshops online. But right now I just offer one-on-one coaching.
And I mean, what does the future of mindset coaching for Lindsay look like? More retreat based? Is that your ultimate goal, like in the future, to do like take people to a destination, do yoga? Like, what would a typical retreat look like for you?
Yeah, so I want to do all the fun things. So my kind of motto with a lot of my women is owning your own business and having that opportunity to do that. It gets to be fun. So for me, I want to keep doing yoga. I want to keep doing one-on-one coaching and just helping women show up more powerfully in their life. And then the in-person retreats are definitely something once we are able to, I want to offer more of those a couple of times a year. They're really impactful and just a great way to connect in person, because I do a lot of online virtual work. So yeah, retreats, and I love to do special events in Rochester. The beer yoga I still love to do. So yeah, it's just a mix of yoga and coaching and empowerment and fun, which I can see keep happening once we get back to a little bit of normal.
Sure. Well, I love it. I think it's so important for women to empower other women. And, thank you for doing that and for bringing your services to Rochester, our home here. Lindsay, where could our audience be directed to your website, and where could they find out more about you?
Yeah, so my website's just lindsaymeese.com, but I have a really active group on Facebook. It's called Elevate You. You can search it in the groups. Maybe, I don't know if we can link it somewhere, but it's called Elevate You. I do a lot of free trainings and workshops in there as well. So you can find me also, on Instagram, just under my name. You can find me pretty much on all social platforms.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for being on our show. And yeah, it's such a pleasure to meet you. I hope to meet you in life sometime really soon.
Yeah.
And I hope that retreat happens soon too for you. That would be great.
Yeah, you'll have to come.
I would love to. Yeah. I think, yeah, there's, like I said, like to me, there's nothing more powerful than getting like a good energy and good women all together in one room.
Yeah.
So more power to you. Keep doing it.
Thank you so
Hey,
much.
Scott. Oh, thank you. Scott, you ready to rock out?
Rock out?
Rock out one more for us, please.
This one's called Smoke on the Water. No. If I sat down and really thought of all the things that I ain't got, well, I'd have a lot to think about today. But they're pouring cold beer in this bar, and I'm sparking up a good cigar. And I guess life ain't been that hard, so why complain anyway? If I die before I wake and my last race is run, it's been a good ride, I'm satisfied. If all I do is all I've done, if all I do is all I've done. Da, 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 da. I've had more laughs than I've had tears. I've earned the lines from all these years. I've been knocked around, but never hit the dirt. Probably spend more money than I make, but I still work and they still pay. And brother, if you need it, I'll give till it hurts for what it's worth. If I die before I wake and my last race is run, it's been a good ride, I'm satisfied. If all I do is all I've done, if all I do is all I've done. I watch the sun come up on Hudson Bay, seen it set in Monterey. I've had the same best friend since 8th grade, and man, that's just cool. I've loved and lost and loved again. She's just as sweet as she was then, and after all these times, she still curls my toes. I thank God for those 2 kids we made. They grew up and moved away, and I pray for them every day. And so it goes, I suppose. If I die before I wake and my last race is run, it's been a good ride, I'm satisfied. If all I do is all I've done, if all I do is all I've done, oh, if all I do is all I've done.
The great Scott Southworth. Thank you so much again, Scott, for your music and your time. Big thank you to Lindsay Meese as well for sharing your insight with us today. So today's theme was persistence, and I want to share with you, my father had told me, I remember, I don't even know how old I was, but he always told me that there isn't a thing you can't do as long as you apply your mind to it. And simple words, those simple words I carry along with me every single day in my moments of power and in my moments of self-doubt. Success will come to those who have the courage to seek it. We're not meant to travel a perfectly paved road. It's those bumps and imperfections along the way that truly make our journey most interesting and that bring life's greatest lessons. When our human vehicle takes a hard turn or that bump in the road temporarily causes us to break down, we are left in the possession of the one set of powerful tools that we were all handed at birth, and that's our mind and our heart. Nothing important was ever accomplished without setbacks and difficulties. So pick up the pieces and rebuild with intention to build an empire that far surpasses the one you originally envisioned. Because anything you set yourself out to achieve can be acquired as long as you remain persistent in your pursuit. With that, may passion be your guide. May passion guide your heart and your mind. May your mind activate the tenacity to see all obstacles through. Thank you so much to Beau Productions for always making our set look fantastic and for handling the technical end of Afternoon Cocktail. Thank you to today's sponsors again, Electronic Merchant Systems, Untamed Events, Compeer Rochester, the Sawmill at Blades, Salvatore's Pizzeria. And big shout out to my friend Miss James Farley at Northwestern Mutual. And I wish you all a beautiful Monday. We will be back here this Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I have Mr. Sean Austin hailing from Westchester, New York. He is a paranormal chameleon. It's going to be a super interesting show. He's been featured on the Travel Channel. He's a singer-songwriter. He's an author. He's amazing. So make sure you tune in with us this Wednesday, and I wish you all a beautiful day. Thank you.